I'm Obi, that said, and we are drinking from the garden hose. Hey, hold on a second. I'm going to restart that in 5 seconds. Hey, I'm that bastard Obi, and that's it. And we are drinking from the garden hose, your favorite podcast about nothing. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Remember, give us those 5-star reviews on whatever system it is. Rate us. It's only going to help us out. Ed, how are you?
Wow, you started off with a bang. I'm laughing my ass off because somebody correctly picked up on that. Not only are you that bastard, you're that bastard when you screw up. And what people don't know is you actually screwed up on your first intro for this show tonight, which is why when you started again, you went with that bastard because it was appropriate. You screwed up, but nobody knows it. So I just had to give a little inside scoop to the group out there.
Well, no, the screw up was I didn't include that bastard. So I've decided to start to include it because I have given in. Our fans have spoken, and I am that bastard, which is fine. Since last week, I was complaining about not having a nickname. This nickname I can live with. I've earned it. It's all good. So we'll go with that.
Not only did we do a poll that confirmed, like 2 weeks ago, we did a poll to confirm you're that bastard. But then this week, people put in their comments, no poll. They just put in comments that you're that bastard.
Yeah, it's official. Hey, I don't mind a nickname that is earned, even if it's not the most generous nickname. It's been earned. It's what it is, and we're gonna go with it. We let our fans control a lot. The podcast about nothing, and now that bastard, and that the charm is. Well, we won't go there because then we'll have to turn the thing off, and that'll be all shortest podcast we do. So
well, I think it's safe to say your nickname doesn't suck.
No, it does not. It does not. It's earned. So I have a list of stuff I want to talk about. And the first thing is, hopefully this will. Ed's usually the one who will be enjoying a frosty beverage during our show. But I got to say, I am sold on this new beer here. You can see which one it is.
Garage beer. Now, Obi, that's hilarious. Well, I don't know if it's hilarious you're drinking it, but it is interesting. I was in the liquor store the other day and I saw garage beer for sale. I saw like the 12 packs of it. And I wasn't going to buy it because anything called garage beer is probably not good enough for me because I am a beer snob. But it did pique my interest. They're selling garage beer. So please do tell, what's the deal with it?
Oh, you would hate it. You would hate this beer. Literally, they are charging me an extra $1 for your typical American light beer and bragging about it on the can. This is it's a small batch beer, so it's just a light beer. It's a chugging beer for sure. You're not going to enjoy this like you enjoy your IPAs. It's better than the shit we used to serve at the fraternity, but it's great cold and I love cheap light beer, so I'm sold, and I've been drinking it lately. So I wanted to bring it to your attention because I know now that I told you what it is, you're gonna rip me apart. Go for it, Ed. Tell me why the IPAs are good, you beer snob, while I enjoy my drink.
Well, I'm not going to go into the IPAs because I do have a confession to make about getting old and IPAs, and I can make that confession. And no, I didn't stop drinking them, but I'll get to that in a second. But what is this? Is garage beer basically Miller Lite with a different label? What's going on there?
So I did some looking into it. I don't believe it's supposed to. It tastes basically like your Miller Lite, your Bud Light, a light American lager. But it is its own beer. It is its own brewery. It is a smaller batch. I guess I don't know what the point of that is, other than they were able to get some NFL guys, including the Kelsey brothers, to invest in the beer. Jason's constantly selling it around town, and but yeah, it's just a classic.
So this might become this might become the summer beer just because there's some money behind it.
Yeah. I think that it's got a chance of replacing the PBR for a year
First
or two.
of all, PBR shouldn't even be a thing. It's a piece of crap, and the hipsters started drinking it, and they drove the price up, which is ridiculous. It's the worst beer ever, PBR. So here's my confession, Obi. About the IPAs and being a beer snob. So, as you know, and our listeners don't know, but I went to the Daytona 500 again, and Obi, fucking rained again. It rained
I
again. I gotta tell you about the Daytona 500 in a second because it was infuriating, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But first, let me tell you about the beer.
But wait, crossing that off my notes of list of things to discuss about how you got rained on again. I know you'll bring it up, so we're
Yeah,
good.
so we'll get to that. But here's the thing about the beer. So I sent down, my brother went down, I gave him my luggage and I gave him my beer ahead of time. And so I think I got like, I don't know, 18 pack of beer for Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, right? And then I fly home Monday. So I figure 18 beers, six a day at my age. I think I can handle that. I can always buy more actually, no, it was 24 beers. Anyway, it doesn't really matter at this point, but they're all IPA, right? All IPA. So Friday was great. Got down there Friday, went to Buffalo Wild Wings, had a couple cocktails, and then I started drinking beer when I got back to the campsite. We were up until 1 in the morning. Good time. Everything was good. Wake up Saturday. I'm on vacation. It's Saturday. I guess there was a race at noon, so you can start drinking before noon. You got to tailgate before the first race, which I was not going to, but I was going to tailgate anyway. Ended up watching my daughter's basketball game on the satellite dish, and watched some other basketball. Ended up watching that hockey game, U.S. Canada, with the 3 fights in the first 9 seconds at the campsite. Amazing, right? But I was drinking beer all day long, right? Which is fine. That's just how I live my life. So the next day, the Daytona 500 day, I get up, same thing. You gotta tailgate beforehand. So I crack my first beer relatively early in the morning. But I don't know, about 3 beers in, it just became too much. Those IPAs are just too rich. You cannot drink them all weekend, I found out at this age. And I actually went the entire Daytona. Well, let's put it this way. I went the last 190 laps. We'll get to that in a second. The last 190 laps without a beer.
That seems particularly tough. Of all the things I would want to not have to go beerless for, it's 190 laps of a NASCAR race. And I've been to NASCAR races, so I'm not even like making fun of NASCAR in that way. But to do it without a beer is that is rough. That is. It's just a place you want to drink beer.
I agree, but my stomach couldn't handle it. I needed Tums. I needed all sorts of stuff. So it just the too much hops, too much hops. But so I thought that was interesting. So maybe I should have had a garage beer. If I had a cooler full of garage beers, I may have been able to drink all 200 laps. You never know. But so Daytona 500, Obi, this day, I'm never going back. I know I said this last year, but I'm never going back. And here's the reason I'm never going back. I saw the whole race. I saw it in parts because the race started, they ran 10 laps, and then it started raining, as if they didn't know it was going to freaking rain. I don't know why they even started the race. Actually, I know why. I'll get to that in a second. But they ran 10 laps, and then they took a 4-hour break. But they didn't tell you that at first. So I sat with all the people. You saw a picture, I'm sure, inside the stadium, just wall-to-wall people. It was miserable. So luckily, we were able to go back to the campsite, hung out there for about 3 hours, heard the drivers were going to start again. So we ran back into the stadium, and they warmed up, and then it rained again. so they stopped, but they only stopped for 15 minutes, and then they went racing, and they raced straight through. The race got over at like 10 o'clock at night. But here's where the day went crooked right at the beginning. Race is supposed to start at 1:30, and we go to get through security. And if you didn't know, the president decided he wanted to show up and get, I don't know, help his ego, whatever. So security was ridiculous. They were checking everybody's personal orifices and bags, and Secret Service was there. It took us 2 hours to get through security to get into this race. So we barely made the first lap. Barely made the first lap. But Obi, remember I told you I left and went back to the campsite? When we came back, do you know what security was doing when we came back? They said, "Oh, don't worry, just walk through. We're only randomly checking every fifth person."
I was gonna say, were they vaping? Like
Because the president left. Once it started raining, he left. So security, they didn't care anymore. I was so pissed. So I'm never 2 hours of my life I will never get back. So in any event, it rained again. I saw all 200 laps. I think I've checked off that bucket list, and I won't be going back.
Oh, okay. All right. I was thinking about you as I was watching the updates or lack thereof on my phone. because I knew you were there and I knew it was raining. And I didn't watch the race, but was at least the last lap accident like that took out half? Was that great to watch? Was it screechy or was it just like
Yes.
yeah?
Yeah, so I'm gonna become that guy. So, and Obi, you're probably like this. I see your TikTok. You like to talk about sports. You like to fancy yourself an expert. And I know you'll agree with me. There's probably nothing more annoying in life when you're talking to somebody about football or basketball and they tell you, you only need to watch the last 2 minutes anyway, right? It's like insulting that you only need to watch the last 2 minutes of a sport you really enjoy. You understand the nuances. You want to watch the whole game. And when somebody says you only need to watch the last 2 minutes, it insults you. Do you feel the same way I do, or is that just me?
Absolutely. The reason when you enjoy a sport is you enjoy the story of the full game. And yes, the last 2 minutes, it's like saying you only have to watch the last 2 minutes of a movie, right? All that story to get to the result. So yes, totally bothers me when people say that.
Yeah, so I'm fully aware of that. But the fact of the matter is, if you're going to watch a NASCAR at a super speedway like Daytona or Talladega with this drafting aerodynamic packages that they have, the truth of the matter is you only have to watch the last 10 laps. That's it. Because everyone's perfectly fine just driving behind each other and not screwing up until the end. They get desperate. They got to do stuff and they try to move and they flip people around. And last 10 laps, some guy flipped over like 4 times. He was in a submarine car, which was interesting to me, which is probably why I didn't do well on land because it's a submarine car. It could be better in the water. But he flipped a couple times. He lived. Everything was fine. Walked away. And then the last lap, they just all wrecked. And then like 2 cars come flying out of the. It was almost like watching surfing, where the wave comes over and the surfer's in the tube and he comes out the other end, and you're like, holy shit, he made it. That was kind of like this race. There was a big wreck, and then 2 cars came out, and we're like, holy shit, they made it. And yeah, that was good. But then it was time to get out of there and go to bed.
Right. You got a flight to catch. Get me home. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Understood.
pretty much.
Okay. So I'm going to take this conversation and bring us down. And I apologize. So, as you're well aware, a few weeks ago, I got a phone call from, for lack of a better word, a fraternity brother of ours telling me some bad news. And then I relayed that phone call to you. And then the news got worse. And what happened is one of our fraternity brothers, his mother passed away. Another one of our fraternity brothers at the very end of last year, possibly beginning of this year, lost his father. And then I don't know if it's our age or my age or my age and social media, but Ed, every week this year, somebody I know, they have lost a parent other than the one person who lost a grandparent. Are you experiencing this? And do you think it's because I still know these people because of Facebook?
So the first thing I'll say, the great thing about Facebook is you don't have to check the obituaries every day. Because normally when I was growing up, I remember my parents always telling me, you got to read the obituaries every day. You might find somebody you know in there. And that's true. I used to read the obituaries when I was like a teenager because I might know somebody in there. But now on Facebook, with Facebook, you actually don't have to read obituaries anymore because people tell you that someone passed. And everyone has a different way of doing it. Some people are very, blunt. They put it out there. They tell you it happened, or they'll tell you for the couple weeks leading up to it that it's going to happen. Some people wait and they just post the obituary. Everyone has a different way of doing it, I've noticed, but it gets out there. So yeah, but I haven't experienced what you're saying every week. Someone hasn't passed away. So I haven't dealt with that, but I definitely think Facebook definitely brings things. And the other thing is, Obi, you're finding out that someone you went to high school with, you actually haven't talked to in 30 years, you haven't seen in person in 31 years, maybe, right? And you found out their father passed away. You never would have found that out anyway if it wasn't for Facebook.
And that's what I think. There is definitely somebody who totally falls into that package. Had not seen them since high school. They are on Facebook. They don't post on Facebook except to post the news of their mother's passing was one of them. Another one was somebody who made it as far as my wedding. And my parents were still friends with the individual, who passed, but I don't even know if my parents would have mentioned that they passed. But the person posted it on Facebook. So yeah, definitely a lot of it is Facebook. But maybe if we were reading obituaries, it'd be the same thing. So okay, I'm glad you brought. I'm glad you brought up the obituaries because I never read the obituaries, but I
Well, you were
probably would
missing out.
be.
You were missing out, man. You got to read the obituaries because you got to know who died.
I probably would be reading the obituaries now if I was,
Oh, you
reading
absolutely
newspapers.
have to now at our age. You absolutely have to read the obituaries, because there are people that you will know in there, and you actually got to read the whole thing because it's not only the people that you would know maybe, but you people who you know who are like their loved ones because you always have to read like who are they survived by. Like you got to dig deep into these obituaries to find out how you might know them. But the thing, Obi, that you talked off about the death with the fraternity brother, that actually had nothing to do with Facebook. That was like old school. Like we found out old school. Somebody sent us a message to tell us that somebody was ill and then passed away. The person who lost their mother did not post that on Facebook. That was like old school.
This is true, but I don't think that person would have still been in contact with me without Facebook. We are Facebook friends. We occasionally comment on each other's Facebook posts, but yeah, we
But
don't.
but Obi, you're missing the best part of the story. I mean, you're talking about death here, but we have to have some fun with it. The best part of the story is that the message he sent to you to tell you that this individual's mom was ill started with, "Hey Obi, I love your karate videos. It's so great to see those kids learning how to do karate. Oh, and by the way, so and so's mom is ill." That was the message.
Close enough. I mean, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. I mean, it was pretty. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it was. Hey, your
I mean,
online presence is really cool. So and so's mother is dying.
I didn't know you needed like a icebreaker to tell somebody someone's mom was dying. I thought you could just lead with that. Like, yo, bro, we haven't talked in a while, but so and so's mom is sick. He figured you would maybe not read that message if he started out that way. He had to butter you up with your sword videos.
Phone message. I would have hung up on the phone message, but same thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was great. It was. I did call the person back, by the way, after things settled down, and we didn't talk.
I'm assuming you only called back because he buttered you up with the karate chick.
That's why I thought he buttered me up was he wanted to actually hear from me. So I called him back and we
And
didn't
he,
get. He was taking his child to karate, and
oh, how do you know
so
that? Because he called you back after and
no,
told you.
I called him up and said, "Hey, how you doing?" He said, "Yeah, uh, you know, the very basics." And I can't talk right now. I'm taking
Oh, so you did have a phone call with him. It wasn't like you left a message. All right,
correct, yeah, but a 30-second to minute phone call. Like I was in my car, and before I reached the highway, we were done talking.
that's good. I like
Yeah.
that. I'm glad you called him back because he buttered you up with your karate. Um, it's quite clear that the gentleman, I'm assuming they're gentlemen that post on our website that referred to you as that bastard wouldn't get phone calls back.
No, because they don't call me.
You also don't know who they are.
No, no.
They're like keyboard warriors. They hide behind fake names.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. The guy's name is Nick. You think that's a fake name?
I don't know. Nick might be a real person. I don't know. But replicant,
Replicant and
pretty sure that's a fake name. Russell Dalrymple, that's a fake name. I think there's a few fake names out there.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're using a fake login because you thought you thought you thought your nickname was going to show that you don't like. So maybe we could have the webmaster just change your nickname to that bastard and have that show up.
He could. He could. I don't think so. Oh, by the way, speaking of the webmaster, he told me to take full credit for replies. He listened, and you didn't tell him to add replies. He did that on his own. So thank you to the webmaster for doing the replies and giving me the full credit I deserved in writing on the webpage.
Yeah, I can confirm that. I never asked him to do the replies. I asked him to do the likes. I never
Yes.
asked him to do the replies. So I'll give credit where credit's due. I just didn't give it to you on the episode last week.
Well, that's why I'm out here trying to chase this shit down because you bully me. So I got one more thing for you, Ed. I have been Exposed. That's not a good word given the subject I'm about to talk
My
about.
head just went somewhere, so I can't wait to know what this
No,
subject.
I have been around some folks of the younger generation and their children who are definitively younger than our children, or the oldest child is like 8, 9, maybe 10, and then they have children who are all younger. So definitely like a gap from your youngest, who's also connected to your oldest because it's the second child there. And I've noticed something about the way these parents are raising their kids, and I'm giving them a shout out. So I don't know what generation these parents are for the most part, because I don't know what generation is what.
Got to be millennials. They got to be
I,
millennials.
they're
Gen
probably
Xers are,
millennials.
Gen Xers are old to be having kids now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh well, one of these guys is too old to be having kids, but I digress. Uh, these kids are what I have decided to call inside feral. So, like, our parents had no idea where we were. We were watching over our kids' shoulders when they were on the internet. These parents have no idea where on the internet their kids are. They're inside feral. These kids are probably on sites that would make you blush and don't care. Like, these kids are inside feral. They're awesome. They're out of control, but they're locked inside. And I am loving the chaos they're giving their parents every minute of it. I don't know
So,
if you've experienced it, but
no, but
absolutely.
Obi, so you have to describe this a little bit because I'm wondering, inside feral. So I'm already picking up. They're not allowed to go outside because outside's dangerous, right?
I
Back
don't
in
know if
town.
they're not allowed to go outside or they just choose not to go outside.
Well, I think a lot of younger kids choose not to go outside because it's hot and you gotta, you might sweat.
Yeah, yeah, they might sweat and their phone might get dropped.
Yeah, so this inside feral. So I get the inside part. Now, can you explain to me how do you know they're going on websites that would make me blush?
Because they are telling me things. They are asking me questions.
Wait. Time out. You're telling me 8 and 9 year olds are telling you they go to websites that would make me blush.
No, they didn't say they go to websites that are making me blush. They are asking me if I know what certain things are.
Okay. What are those things? Or are
So
you blushing right now and you're afraid to repeat it?
I don't know, one kid asked me if I knew about what was it? I can't remember what movie it is, which is a shame since I wrote this down. But like asked me if I knew, if I knew what Samuel L. Jackson's wallet said. 10-year-old kid. And I was like, yes, of course I do. How do you know? Oh, I was watching Pulp Fiction. So that's not going to make you blush. And maybe I'm pushing it with make you blush. But a 10-year-old watching Pulp Fiction, probably not what we would have let our kids do.
I would go out on a limb and say these parents shouldn't be letting their kid watch Pulp Fiction either.
Right. But they are. Because they're not, what I'm saying is like our parents had no idea what we were doing outside. These parents have no idea or desire to stop their kids doing whatever they want inside. That is the point I'm driving at.
Oh, it's a great point, and I'm gonna take that point off on a tangent though. What I don't understand is this 10-year-old kid watched Pulp Fiction, and his takeaway is what Samuel L. Jackson's wallet said.
Right. Because bad motherfucker is cooler than anything else that happens in that movie when you're 10.
I don't know. Having to keep a watch in your ass is pretty cool.
And but I mean, I'm thinking they probably don't understand the drug scenes, but the ass and the watch, that might have been
I mean, my biggest takeaway from that movie is some dude had a watch in his keister all while he was in Vietnam. I mean, that's an amazing story.
that is a which is told in the movie to like a 6-year-old, by the way.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then what's great about that scene, and there's another brilliant scene too that we probably can't go into on this podcast, but
Right.
what's great about that scene, well, actually, there's two other brilliant scenes. One's brilliant, one's just disturbing, but the disturbing one involves a red ball. But here's the thing: the the watch. There's a moment you see that story, but then there's a moment where, because the way that movie's told, there's a moment where Bruce Willis is talking to his girlfriend after he didn't throw the fight and he won, killed the guy, and he knew they were coming for him, and he said, "Did you get everything?" And she's like, "Yes, I got everything." And he said, "Did you get my watch?" And she says, "I did not get your watch." And he goes, "Oh my God, I got to go back and get it." She goes, "No, you don't. It's not that important." He goes, "You have no idea what that watch has been." And to me, that line just like is like on another level because it was in somebody's butt.
Well, then they flash back to it being
Yeah.
in the ass. Yes, yes. Lots of a great movie. One of my top five movies of all time. But you're right. There's that scene. There's the gimp scene. Like
The red ball. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they just watched the clip. Like maybe they think they've seen the whole movie. They're 10. Like movies don't last that long for 10-year-olds. They're on the ticky tock. 5 minutes is a whole movie.
Maybe they never saw the movie. Maybe they only saw that scene with the wallet. I don't know. But now, did they see Reservoir Dogs?
Uh, I did not ask about Reservoir Dogs.
Are you going to see these kids? Because you should recommend that movie. I mean, if they're on the Pulp Fiction train, you should recommend. I mean, clearly they're Tarantino fans, so you should recommend True Romance, and they can learn about the Sicilians and the Moors. And then you should recommend the Reservoir Dogs.
Not, but what about the Hateful Eight? And they can learn about slavery and the Holocaust as well.
Yep. Well, isn't that Inglorious? Well, there's also the Inglorious Bastards, right? There's a lot of good Tarantino movies, but
yeah,
I think you got to start with the beginning classics: True Romance, Reservoir Dogs.
Listen, kids. I don't want to confuse you. You're 10 years old. You don't know the difference between a director and a writer. He only wrote this one, but great scene. You're gonna learn.
Right. Yeah. True Romance. You don't want to screw him up with the writing credit, but
right.
Yeah, I think you should talk to him about. I passed out watching Reservoir Dogs, so I'm curious to find out how a 10-year-old would react to that movie.
You passed out during Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I never told you that story. Yeah, I was watching the movie, and I was in college, and so this was back when Blockbuster still existed. So we're really going to go down a rabbit hole here. So you remember this, Obi? Like you and your buddies on a Friday or Saturday night, it would be like, oh, tonight we're going to do a movie. Last night we tied one on pretty hard, took all day to recover today. So we're just going to stay in tonight and watch a movie. So we're going to meet at Blockbuster at 8, pick the movie, and go back to so-and-so's house, right? So that's how it worked, right, Obi? Am I telling
you? No, you're telling a true-ish story.
Right. So for our younger kids, there was no streaming. You had to go to a Blockbuster and pick out a freaking VHS tape. So anyway.
And wait, if you got there in time, you got the new releases. But you didn't get there in time because you had tied one on the day before. You hung over, and you're probably already starting the party, so you're late, and you can't get a new release. So then,
well, there's probably a good chance it wasn't 8 o'clock. We were at Blockbuster. There's probably a good chance we were there at 10:30, right? That's probably what was happening, right? So anyway, we get Reservoir Dogs, which may have been a new release at the time, may not have been, didn't matter. Critically acclaimed, so we get it. We go back to the house, we're watching it, and great movie. But there's that one scene, that made me pass out, which is the scene. It's not when the Tim Roth is all bloody in the back seat and bleeding everywhere. It's not that. It's actually the scene where they caught the cop, and they brought the cop in. And listen, if you're upset that I'm spoiling this movie for you, if you're listening right now, I don't care because this movie's like over 35 years old, so get over it. And they get the cop, remember? And he cuts the freaking guy's ear off.
Well, it changed the way I've heard Stuck in the Middle with you for 25, 30 years. Right. Yes.
Right. And he cuts the guy's ear off, right? And pours gasoline on it, right? Like, I woke up to my friend smacking me in the face going, Ed, what's going on? Yeah. The last thing I remember is he was trying to saw the guy's ear off. And the next thing I know, I was getting smacked around and I woke up.
Okay. You couldn't.
I think I scared the shit out of my 4 friends that were with me. I think I died.
He had a heart attack because that is as gruesome as a torture scene as you'll ever see. So yeah, if you're having this movie spoiled, too bad. Sorry.
So I think the 10-year-olds need to watch that. Then they'll really go feral.
Yes. Right. Absolutely. They will go crazy.
That's a good one though. 10-year-olds watching Pulp Fiction. It doesn't make me blush. It makes me I just gotta shake my head to that one though.
Yeah. And I wonder now that we're having this conversation, because I was kind of shocked. I didn't want to I didn't follow up on that because I was just like, on the internet, okay. But you may have a point. I mean, I may have a point that it might just be that scene on a YouTube short or Reels or whatever the TikTok, whatever the kids were actually watching it on.
I'm telling you right now, you could get in trouble with your kid's school if you're letting your kid watch Pulp Fiction. Because your kid is going to go to school and do some crazy ass shit
Yeah,
that he
but
saw or that he heard or that he learned from that movie, and you're going to get a call from the principal.
I'm saying I don't think it was just this one set of parents. I mean, there was another kid uh who the way they jump on the furniture, like like I know I jumped on furniture. I know my kids jumped on furniture, but these parents are letting their kids jump on other people's furniture, and the other parents are letting the other kids jump on their. I was it's they're raising the youngins a little more feral, a little closer to Gen X, but inside, and that's I encourage you to find out. See, in the next few years, you'll see it.
Yeah, but whoa, shit, because we're already screwed with what we're seeing in the workplace right now. I can't imagine what's going to happen when this
Oh, these
peril.
oh no, they're going to be great for work.
You think so?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They're just I'm telling you, I was watching us inside. Like if our parents had been like, act the way you want to act inside.
Yeah, but here's the difference. But here's the one big difference is our parents never would have let us get away with that shit on the inside. That's why we had to be outside because they didn't want to see us. See, that's the big misnomer about Gen X, right? It's as if our parents didn't care about us, and maybe that is true. But if they caught what we were doing, if they knew what we were doing, they would have whooped our ass. What you're describing is no ass whooping going on because these kids are jumping on furniture in front of them.
Oh yeah, these parents have quit.
They quit. Yeah. They just started and they quit already.
They quit. They're like, fuck.
I mean,
stay inside. You'll be safe. I quit.
I mean,
here's some food. Leave me alone.
I'm a 15-year-old, so I quit on my second kid. I get that. I didn't quit on my first kid. I parented her hard. Damn it! You just ask her; she'll tell you I was all up in her business. But quitting on a 10-year-old,
done. It. Cut it. I'm cut off. I'm finished. I'm no more. Yeah.
Maybe that is maybe. I've been hearing on TV that everyone wants people to have kids younger and earlier and more kids, right, for the good of the country. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe you won't quit if you have kids earlier in life.
Maybe. My honest opinion was, by the way, of these parents was they were jealous. They quit because they had friends, significant number of friends who went the no child route. Like I have a few friends. I know you have some friends, but it wasn't like even close to a lot of friends. Like I know people, but the younger I look, the more I know people who are just like, no, not even, nope, not interested. And I wonder if it's reached like a critical mass where those that have children are like, I don't want them. Nobody else has them. I got them. I quit.
We really screwed up. We should have discussed this. We should have discussed this with our friends before we had this one because this is really cramping our style.
Yeah. You know what? This kid sucks. The charm is that we suck. I'm Obi. That said, catch you next time on Drinking from the Garden Hose.